All right, so welcome to my little screencast, my little mini tutorial. So we're going to start off. This is just public class web example. That's the name of the class. Public static void main string args. So this is just a regular Java file. We'll just make sure everything works out. So we'll say hello class, and that should be fine. It compiles. It runs. Okay, so we've got the basics down. That's good. Now, we have gone over the scanner class many times before. So let's bring up the scanner object and start using it and see how it's different. So scanner, we'll just call it n equals new scanner. Now usually we use something like system.in. And when we do system.in, this gets the input from the keyboard. Or we can do new file, and then we say file name.txt or some other file name. And this would normally, of course, bring in all the information from the file called file name.txt. But what I want to do today is we're going to read from the URL class URL. So the first thing, of course, we're going to need to do is import this. And my main purpose is I want to read programmatically from the web. This is like going to the internet, and instead of actually having the browser read it, you are reading it through the actual Java program yourself. So you are becoming the browser, which is pretty cool. So let's see here. We want to do a URL object. So URL, I'm going to just call it my URL equals new URL. And the thing we're going to get is we're going to try to get the information from this recipe. It's called chili lime chicken kebabs. And it's on allrecipes.com. So I'm going to put that into my information here. Sorry, I didn't mean to put a breakpoint there. There we go. And there we go. There's the URL. Close it with parentheses, semicolon. And it's this big old long URL. And we'll make sure that this compiles. And it doesn't because it says unreported exception, malformed URL exception, which is not a problem. So we'll put that in a try catch, of course. So put that in. We're going to use a scanner later, so we'll just keep that commented for now. And so we'll put catch, malformed URL exception. I'll call it exception. And I'll give a nice little error message if it's caught. And we'll say something to the effect of print line, you entered a bad URL. And so that'll give us some idea of what's going on. So we know all about try catches, and so this should be old hat. Oh, well, we can't find the malformed URL exception. So what we're going to have to do is find it. So let's put it in Java 8. And what are we going to have to import here? Well, we can go to the Java docs here, malformed URL exception, and oh, it looks like it's from the java.net. So I can go back here and I can either put it in here like normal, import java.net.malformed exception, or we just put a star here for the wildcard. So anything in the java.net package will be imported. And that'll save us time. And you know about that, which is good. So here we go. We've got URL, it works, and it's great. But how do we use the thing? Well, we're going to bring up and open our scanner again. We know all about scanner, and we've used it a lot. And we've done system.in when we do get input from the user from the keyboard. We had a new file when we're getting input from a file. But in this case, we're going to put in my URL. And we'll get an error, which is always fun. Oh dear, cannot find symbol. Well, the scanner object, in this particular case called in, needs to have a stream. And we'll go back to the class here, this URL class, and it's called OpenStream. And if you come here, you can read all about it. It's going to return an input stream for us. See, it opens a connection to this URL and returns an input stream for reading from that connection. This method is a shorthand for openConnection.getInputStream. So it's a nice little shortcut for us. And so we'll go into here and my URL dot open stream. Ta-da! Is that going to compile? Probably not. Oh no, of course not, because it doesn't know what scanner is. Now most of you are thinking, of course, we need to import java.util.star at this point, which is really good. And then it still doesn't do anything because we have an unreported exception, IO exception here. Well, okay, not a problem. So we'll do another catch. We'll do IO exception. We'll call this one exception as well. And you can put an error message in there, of course, if you want to. That would be a good idea. We'll just skip it for now. And now it doesn't even know what an IO exception is. Well, we could look it up, but as we've seen this before, we will find that we need the IO package. The IO package will get us everything for IO exception. We're used to the IO exception because we've seen, we usually use that when we're opening files. The util is where we get scanner, and the net is everything with URL. So at this point, everything should be working. Ta-da! We have no compiler errors. Okay, so how do we actually read this? Read this? Well, what are we going to read? You see, we have a browser. We've got our chili lime chicken kebabs, and it's got advertisements and ingredients and directions, and it looks great, but what are we actually going to get? Well, if we right-click, you could do this in Firefox and Chrome, whatever. You view page source. Aha, this is the actual HTML. This is the language that the server is sending to your browser. And so in this case, this is all of the text, which is pretty crazy. All of this becomes that. So chili lime chicken, which is some short, is right here. Chili lime chicken kebabs recipe, allrecipes.com. All right. Well, that's pretty neat. How do I get these strings, this text? Well, if we go back here, then all we have to do is actually start reading it. Let's just throw this in a while loop. So while n dot has next line equals true. So while there's more input, there's more text, more of this to get from. While there's more text in the buffer, let's read it. So we're going to say string, there we go, string line equals n dot next line. This will get the actual line from the connection. So it'll get this. So the first thing it'll do is it'll get this blank line, then this blank line, then it'll say get the doc type HTML, then HTML and head, and so forth. So we've got it. We put it in the variable line. Now let's print it out. System out print line and line. Good, good. So we compile that. That's good. I run that. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that great? I can look at all of that and go to the very top. There's a lot of stuff here. Oh, there, see? There's our two blank lines, and there's the HTML doc type, HTML head, title. Pretty neat. Now, I like this. This is great. I can now act like the browser. But what if we only want to get information from this web page? What if we want to only get, say, the ingredients or the directions or even the title? How do we do that? Well, the good thing is, hey, look, the title is enclosed in these tags. So there's the opening title tag and the closing title tag, and it closes with this little backslash. So if anything ever is part of the title, it'll be between this opening title and this closing title. All right, so let's put in an if statement. That's how we can do some comparisons. So we're going to say if the line dot contains. Now we don't want to. We want to throw it in and say if it contains title. We say contains because we don't want to say if it's equal to. We don't want to compare this whole line to title. We want to say if anywhere on this line it has title, then we want to print it out. And let's see if there's. I'm just doing a Control F here, or Command F if you have Mac, and I am just going to look for title. And look, according to Firefox, There's only one of one match. So we should only be able to print out one of these. So if line contains title, and if that is true, in other words, this line, this string that we just grabbed, contains title, let's print it out. So we're going to compile that. Everything's happy, so no errors down here. Print that out. And whoa! It like skipped everything else, but it got title, which is really neat. Now, I like title. It tells me that it's chili lime chicken kebabs recipe, but what about taking off the actual HTML tags? I mean, I'm not a browser. I don't need to see it in there between the tags. So let's take it out. How do I do that? Have you thought about it? Think about that. You know about strings. How are you going to take out the actual title from the tags? If you think about what you've learned, we can try and find where in this string title starts. Okay. To help you out, we don't really care about this malformed anymore, but we can do Java 8 string, and this is just a review, but this shows you all of the methods that are available to you. Char, add, code point, compare to, concat, contains, that's what we just used. And then what we want right now is index of. Aha! Returns the index within this string the first occurrence of the specified substring. That seems really promising. So what I'm going to do is it'll return, and if you look back, it returns an integer of where it is. The returned index is the smallest value k, for which this dot starts with string k. Oh, and then of course if k doesn't exist, it returns -1. So this is good. So what I'm going to do is get int, and I'll just say index. That seems like a good name for it. So where in the string is title? So what's the variable that holds all the information? What's the variable that actually holds the line of text? It's line right here. Okay, good. So we're going to get line dot index of, what are we trying to find? Ah, yes, that's right. We're trying to find where it is there. All right, so we've got the line. Then let's print out system out print line index. What that'll do is it'll open up the URL connection right here. We'll start reading it, and while there's more stuff, we'll get every single line from that page. And if that contains title, we'll try and figure out where in that string title is. And we'll print out both the line and where it is in that line. Aha, 4. Well, if you remember, strings start with 0, so that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, cool. Title starts at character 4. Okay, I can deal with this. Now that I know where it starts, I can get rid of it. Oh, well, how do I do that? Well, I will give you the biggest hint of all, substring. So I'm back to where I was. All right, that's not where we want to start. We want to start right here. Okay, so let's do substring. Boom, there it is. See? Substring. There's an example there, but let's go to the actual documentation. There's 2 different types of substrings. Let's do the first one. Returns the index within this string of the first occurrence of the specified substring. And this one returns the index within this string of the first occurrence of the specified substring starting at the specified index. So this says, okay, go from a certain point, well, this just gets the rest of it. That is pretty neat. That's index of, but we use that one. Last index of, pretty cool. I wonder if substring has something similar. And if we keep going, there it is. There's the same thing. We have substring. Returns a string that is the substring of the string. Returns a string that is the substring of the string. This one says begin. This one says begin and end. Click here. Unhappy, substring 2 returns happy. Because that's 0, that's 1, and it starts at 2, it'll just return the rest of it, which is pretty much what we want, right? We want from here on. Oh, very nice. So let's do that. We'll create another string. We'll just call it sub equals. Now where's all the information? That's right. There's the variable. Line dot substring. Now where should we start? Well, it's going to return that information there. So index. That's why we did it. So let's see. Let's print this out. See what we get. System out print line sub. Go. Okay. At this point, we got rid of all the extra zero or space at the beginning. We kind of trimmed it up a bit. But what we want now is we want to get rid of this. So this is telling us where title starts, which is at 4, but this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So how long is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we say do a substring plus 7, it won't grab the information starting here. It'll grab the information starting here. So let's review. We open the URL, open the stream, and as long as there's more text, we keep going in the while loop. We get the line of text, and if that line has title, then we do this information. We then figure out where title is, print that out, and then we just get that substring right there. Boom! We just got chili lime chicken kebab recipe, and all we have to do is figure out where that end part is. Well, let's click back here. The next substring also has an index of where the ends. So for example, right here we have unhappy, but if you do substring 2, it gets just happy. Here, if we do hamburger, we put in 4, 0, 1, 2, 3. So starting with 4 and say end with 8. Aha, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And don't grab that one. We're just going to end with urge. Nice. So let's modify what we have. Change this one, put a comma here. And then line.length. So the length of the string minus. Now how big is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It makes sense because this is 7, and if you add a little close, then it becomes 8. So we're going to start 7 spaces into where we first find title, so it'll skip that part, go all the way in, except for the last 8. Let's see what we get. Boom! There it is. That's beautiful. We've got the title right there. So, what else could we do with this? If we also went in here, what's an ingredient that we might want? How about olive oil? Olive oil. There it is. Look at that. We have our olive oil. And then if we look at the next ingredient, it's red wine vinegar. Well, where would red... Oh, there it is. And if you look at it, you'll notice every single ingredient is the same. Item prop equals ingredients, or something very similar. Allrecipes.com sometimes changes everything, so you could say, I'm going to look for everything that has recipe ingredient text, just like this one. Or I'm going, now, the data ID, this is 607, this is something different. So you can't search for the different things, but if you said item prop equals ingredients, or the other part, it'll get you going. So I'm going to leave that for you to do on your own, but we know how to do title, and it's the same concept for ingredients and for the directions. So I hope that was a good tutorial for you. I hope you understand how to open up a file in Java. That's what we did right here. Just open up the file URL. Then we started reading the actual input. We were able to go through and get every single line of text, and if it happens to be the title, then we figured out where the beginning is, we took out title, and then we just printed it out. We also have our 2 exceptions in case everything goes wrong. So that is it, my friends. Thank you for watching, and I will post this code on the web too, so that you don't have to frantically play this little tutorial over and over again.